Thanks for allowing me to present to you all today. I wish we could be there in person at the conferences, but this year we're doing things a little bit different, so trying to add a little bit of virtual education. So today I'm here at TrueForm headquarters in Chester, Connecticut, and we're going to go through a 5-step assessment that we've been using in the military for several years to predict, prevent, perform as the paradigm of how to train runners. I'm here with Zach Nagel at the TrueForm HQ. What we're going to go through today is a 5-step assessment and progression for runners. We're going to be focusing on some static and dynamic tests as well as the use of the TrueForm runner. Our paradigm in athletics and in running and really in any sport is to predict, prevent, and perform. I want to give credit to Lee Saxby and Dr. Peter Gorham, who've been a huge influence on me in helping shape this, and we've brought this to Air Force basic training as well as to a number of courses in the U.S. Air Force to help runners in the Air Force who need to pass a fitness test stay well and be able to get fit and run without increasing their injury rates. Our first assessment we're going to do, Zach, is single leg balance. Single leg balance is really important in running and walking, but running especially since it is a series of single leg hops and you have to stabilize and balance on one foot. So we're going to see how Zach does for 30 seconds. However, he wants to do this just 1 foot balance. And he has his eyes open. What we were looking for here, you look if his hands come off his hips, you look for hip drops, toe touch down, instability in the chest, but he looks really good. So we're going to stop, pretty close to 30 seconds. And kind of second level of this really tests your balance, is we're going to do 15 seconds now, eyes closed, and try to do this at home. 15 seconds, eyes closed. Becomes much more difficult, and he even has his bare feet there, which gives him a little more proprioception and balance. But good. Awesome. So now we're going to move on. We're going to come back later and do the corrections, so if someone is having difficulty, but we're just going to walk through quickly the 5 different assessments. Second assessment is essentially, can Zach get into a deep squat? Most children can get into a deep squat, but when I see older adults, they tend to lose the mobility in their soleus, Achilles is shorter, and they can't get into a deep squat, and not being able to essentially have that ankle rocker functioning normally during walking and running can contribute to injury. So we're going to set Zach up for a deep squat, so his feet hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. Everyone has their own path for a squat. His knees aren't going to cave in, and he's going to sit back. So if I had a bench in front of him, and we're going to see if he can go all the way down. See if he can get all the way down, and what I make sure I'm looking for is making sure people are not collapsing their feet in or their knees coming in, so I always tell people to keep their elbows between their knees and see if they can get into the deep squat. So Zach does really well here. He can come back up. So he passes that one, so he's got 2 checks so far. A progression from that is a wall squat. So a lot of us are really tight in the upper body from typing and texting. So the next assessment we're going to do, which is kind of an add-on to the basic squat, is a wall squat. The wall squat is a second level assessment for the squat, since so much of us spend a lot of time in our day now typing, texting, driving in a shoulder forward position. This assesses our upper body range of motion as well as our lower body. So get pretty close to a wall, toes pretty close, and just see if you can kind of squat all the way back down, all the way back down, all the way back down without tipping back. That'd be a wall squat. If you're having difficulty, you get stuck about here, some exercises you could do would be to stand in front of a door jamb or do anything that just gets your body back into this position all day. Just get the arms back. The next assessment is a single leg run, or kind of single leg hop, because in running we want to hit the ground and be able to stabilize our forces and get off the ground really quick and springy. So a lot of runners kind of run like this. Thud, and the quicker ones are kind of more bouncy, 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 like tap, tap, tap. And you want to make sure you're warmed up before you do this, because we don't want to cause an injury. This involves some of the spring and fascia in our feet and our Achilles. So, and ideally about 0.2 seconds is your foot on the ground. Most people don't have a measurer for that, but it's tap, 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 tap. A softer surface like a track is usually a little better to do this. I wouldn't do hard concrete, but Zach's going to do that today. He's pretty strong and he's already warmed up, and I've got some shoes on, so shoes fine to do, or barefoot if you feel comfortable on the surface. And we're just going to kind of hop. Should be really quick, really quick. The fourth simple assessment is looking at the feet. Simple question you can ask yourself, does my foot look like a shoe or does my foot look like a foot? A healthy foot, the widest part is at the tips of the toes, kind of like a baby's foot. It's kind of fanned out. Many shoes now squeeze the toes together. And as we'll show later in the video, this affects our balance, this affects our stability. So what you can do is look at your shoe. For one, this is my shoe. It's very wide at the front. This is a shoe that would also fit me, same size, but you can see how it's narrow at the toes. Now if you're at home now and you just want to assess whether this shoe is too narrow or if it's appropriate, is you would take the insole out. And if I were to step on this insole with my foot in a normal position, you would see that my feet would splay right over the insole. Now I could squeeze into this shoe just fine like that, and we see that often in how people fit their shoes. We're going to go through some corrections later on how to correct some of the dysfunctions people have, some created by shoes, some created by weakness in the foot. The final piece of the assessment is actually assessing gait. There's a big movement now in sports medicine for gait training and gait retraining. So in our paradigm of predict, prevent, perform, what we're going to do is assess Zach's gait. Now the Trueform runner is a great tool for doing this because it's a motorless treadmill. So a lot of your running and mechanical flaws become really obvious when you try to run on the Trueform. So first we walk before we run. So in walking mechanics we want to get nice hip extension, nice good tall posture, nice relaxed arm swing, soft feet, roll off the big toe. So first step of running is, can you run at a nice comfortable conversational pace with good mechanics? So the pace that Zach's going to be running now is a pace like you would just go out and run with your friends, have a conversation. This isn't your physical fitness test speed, this isn't racing speed. So we want to look at his posture, looks good. Can't really assess his breathing other than to cue him that you want to have nice relaxed breathing. He's got a nice rhythm, nice springy rhythm. Relaxed, arms kind of nice and relaxed, knuckles close to the sternum. So if he looks really good here, I would ask him to speed up, kind of to a more race type of pace. So if he's in the military, this would be his fitness test pace. So let's see what happens when he goes a little bit quicker. So get a little bit quicker into your running pace. There you go, and his mechanics still looks really good. He's getting a little more hip extension now. Using his glutes a little bit more now, stride length being longer, but still nice and soft, hands good, posture good, rhythm good. So a couple common flaws we see, and the Trueform is really good because you can't make it move when you have these flaws. This is Zach's going to be kind of running along, and I see a lot of runners, they're told to lean for some reason, and what they do is they bend at the waist. So if he bends at the waist, his glutes are shut off, and treadmill essentially stops. Another common flaw we see in runners is they tend to run in the back seat, or they have too much arch in their back here, and if he's too much back seat, really can't get that good rhythm on the Trueform. Another common flaw we see is overstriding, and this is that check mark position when you hit into the ground, your toes dorsiflexed and your ankles locked out, and it's kind of hard to make the treadmill run smoothly. The Trueform kind of stops and jerks and halts when you run with those mechanics. Now our hands are very important in running because our feet tend to follow our hands. When we throw our hands too far in front, we tend to overstride. So as his hands go out too far in front, now tuck them back in, and he gets in a little better rhythm. A nice little correction is a 36-inch rubber band. Hold your thumbs right here, and I'm going to have Zach put his thumbs there, and it keeps your hands a little bit tight. There you go. It corrects the hand position when your tendency to go too far forward. So Zach had been a bit wobbly on his single leg stance. What we can do is apply corrections throughout the day and just doing some practice throughout the day. So many times in our day we can just stand on here and be on one leg. You know, he could be washing dishes, on a Zoom call, answering email, doing whatever, waiting in line at the grocery store, brushing his teeth. So as much time as you can spend on one foot, the better. Next thing we could do is do a few exercises on one foot. One he could be doing intermixing through the day. It would be just doing some single leg squats. You know, he could just kind of, whether on a stool or on the ground, kind of leg back, leg forward, just any way you want to do that. Just do some squats on one leg. And a more advanced one, which challenges our glutes and our hips a little bit more, would be a hip hinge or a golfer's pickup. So he's going to keep his back nice and straight, go down, and we do these in track. We'll do these kind of toe touch drills as we kind of walk along and kind of progress from there. Another paradigm that works on our rehab is progressing from a stable to an unstable surface. So he's going to master his single leg balance on a stable surface, which is the ground. Now he's going to move to something, this is a rolled up yoga mat, challenge himself a little more there. He's got that down really good. He might move on to some type of a wobble board and work on that. So if you're doing a lot of trail running or running and walking on unstable surfaces, it's really good to practice your balance on an unstable surface. We're going to move on now to some corrections of the squat. Many people have a tendency to go forward, chest forward, knees forward when they squat. So having like a box or a chair or a piece of furniture, and that's going to prevent Zach from going forward. And he's just going to kind of master that and only go as far as he can go without those knees bumping into the box. Another tendency when people squat is their knees to come in and their feet to come in. So a cue for that is to have a resistance band and give a little bit of tension out before you set up your squat. So you could use any kind of elastic belt or any kind of glute band, we call these, bring out and go back down, and it'll get his knees out a little bit, turns on the glutes, puts you into a proper squat. Quite often people cannot get fully down into a deep squat because of tightness in their calf area. That could be the soleus muscle, gastrocnemius, Achilles tendon, all the above. So what we want to do gradually over time, this could take 8 to 12 weeks, is loosen that tissue and get them a little more out to length. And this is not a fast stretch. This is going to be kind of a slow stretch. We're going to spend a little time in this position. So I'm going to have Zach, and the assessment here is you kind of get stuck and you fall back. So that's going to give him a little bit of a cheat there. And some people need a lot of height. They've got to go up, 3 to 4 inches and spend some time there. So what Zach would want to do if he's not able to get all the way down into a deep squat, so he's going to use his adapter there. But you have to hang out here for 3 to 5 minutes. You could be checking your phone, playing a game with your kids, giving your dog a belly rub, picking some stuff up on the kitchen table. You want some dynamic in your movement, some range in your movement. So roll your ankles around a little bit, but just start to feel comfortable in a deep squat. And it actually feels good. It's good for your hips too. A quick correction for the chest forward squat would be to get a dumbbell, and Zach's going to go straight down, and he's going to keep 2 points of contact. So he's going straight down there, dumbbell stays against his chest. If he were to lean forward, his dumbbell's going to come off his chest. So we want to practice dumbbell to chest. So if you're not really good on the single leg run, certainly something you can do at the end of every run would be to pick a field or get on the track and just alternate. Just do, 5 yards, switch feet, do it for about 40, 50 meters. Really good drill at the end of a run. The other really nice simple tool that you can travel with is just a jump rope. Jump rope teaches us to be springy on our feet, short ground contact time. Proper length of a jump rope would be to bring it up to the armpits. And you do this, leave one in your garage before you go run, after you go run, any time of day. Quick steps. So if you've got the 2-legged jump rope down and you want to challenge yourself, Zach's going to give a go at a 1-leg jump rope. Spot on. We're going to go ahead and do some simple corrections if Zach's feet are not in a completely healthy condition. So right now, Zach's feet look great. Toes are wide. He looks like he's in a good, strong foot position. He has a nice arch. So imagine if Zach's toes were squeezed in together. His foot is going to tend to go into a more weak foot position with his arch collapsing. Now, some may say, well, I have a flat foot in this position. But in reality, if you got their toe back out straight, this would be big toe aligned correctly with the first metatarsal. And when we walk and run, we dorsiflex the first toe, and it creates an arch. And the stronger foot position here allows his ankle rocker to function normally. When the foot's in a weak foot position here, the knee is going to tend to drive in, puts a lot of stress on the plantar fascia, tib posterior. So a correction that you can do for the toes if you've been wearing shoes that squeeze your toes together, and by the insole test, you would go ahead and get a device called Correct Toes, and you'd wear them as much as you can, even run in them. I've run marathons in these. Keeps the big toe nice and aligned and stable. And when the big toe is stable position, we did our jump rope drill, but imagine Zach trying to jump rope with weak feet. Go ahead and try to jump rope like that. It's not very springy. Now we bring his foot back into a good, strong, stable position and go ahead and hop. Much more springy. A really nice insole that we use to get the arch muscles awake but not support the arch is what's called barefoot science. Now this is not an arch support. You can see it's very flexible, but it has a little pod that would sit in the intrinsic muscle area to wake these muscles up. So he would walk around in this all day, and when he'd feel that, his muscles are just going to automatically fire and bring him into a stronger foot position. So again, this is weak foot collapsed, strong foot, good stable foot with an arch. We're going to finish with 3 quick corrective exercises and the use of a new device called the Mobo board. So first would be what's called toe yoga. And in toe yoga, what I'm trying to do is isolate my toes. So I'm going to lift up my big toe by itself, stab the other 4 down, stab the big toe down, lift up the other 4. Lift up the big toes. This teaches us to use the big toe as a stabilizer and get it to function independently, almost like the opposable thumb. The next exercise is one that's called toe spreading. So I'm going to anchor my big toe down and kind of widen and try to put each toe down. You see how this brings me from a weak foot position kind of into a better, stronger foot position. So find a position to anchor your toe and spread them out. Gets that big toe a little straighter, gets the toes a little wider. Last exercise is called doming or short foot posture. A lot of us stand in this weak foot position. We want to teach ourselves to be in a stronger foot position. So what I'm doing is essentially just making a dome of my arch. I'm just kind of lifting up my arch, shortening the space between my first met head, which I'm trying to keep on the ground, and my heel. So lifting up like that, and that helps us create this more neutral foot position. The Mobo board was invented by my good friend Jay DeSherry, a physical therapist out in Bend, Oregon. And the big toe is captain of the ship, so this balance board teaches us to use the big toe. Has a little strap you can do to kind of hook it to a doorknob or something for balance, or just try to balance independently on it. But you really have to work that big toe independently when you balance on the Mobo board. What I really like about the TrueForm is it's a great tool to teach the cues of proper running. We want to get people to learn how to run nice and slow and relaxed first before they speed it up. So the first thing is good posture. Can get them to do a victory. Gets their upper body in the right position. Next thing is breathing. A lot of runners breathe just really high in the chest. Can even get a piece of tape, put it over the mouth. That forces belly breathing. The next thing is just kind of timing and rhythm and tension. Springy, tap, tap, tap. And if you want to speed up, then just relax. Open the hips up, keep the arms good, head forward, and there you go. Another simple little drill you can do on a curb once you've warmed up is kind of a quick hop drill. And we have kids do this at our high school camp and middle school camp. Just really quick feet. Just try to go faster and faster and get that really quick poppy foot off the ground. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to present today. That was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we'll apply some of this to your patients. This can be used in a small patient office, out on the athletic field, in a gym. And if you want to learn more about TrueForm and have access to a whole free library of videos, go to livetrueform.com. We'll post this presentation up there too so you can share with others. Again, thank you very much.